Today I show you my Chaos, Grass is Greener, Dark Light, Danger, PK, Lightsworn deck. That's right, this is a bunch of engines thrown together. It was based on initially Jesse Cotton's list. Jesse's a really solid player, but then obviously I didn't have all the cards, so I needed to get creative and start adding and cutting some stuff. Overall, if you finish this deck with all of the URs, you're gonna have a bad time. It's gonna be very expensive, but it is super fun and also quite complex to pilot well, so let's get into all of our options. First of all, we have two effect failure. This is just a hand trap, obviously, but it also has one more handy little trick. We can make Halka Fibrax and then make Selene and then make access code. I've used this in some other profiles before. This deck can do it pretty easily though, because you often have enough spells because of Grass is Greener if you resolved it. The only issue is if you already milled one of your Veilers. So you might want to bump this up to the third. Again, with all of these engine decks, you can pretty often just, you know, swap stuff out and in. I saw Farfa play this before. There's a lot of people playing variations on this, but feel free to, you know, if you don't like one of the engines, take them out and put in some other ones. Next, we have Cloak. So this is basically part of the Phantom Knights engine, one of my favorite archetypes. So we are able to make like a Rusty and get some value out of that. We are also able to make a Break Sword, get some value out of that. Cloak can search for boots or Torn Scale and so forth. You already know Phantom Knights if you've watched my channel, and if you haven't, what are you doing? So now we have boots, again another Phantom Knight. Then we have Orcust Symbol Skeleton. So this is part of the Orcust package. The Orcust package in this deck is quite small. Before I had a bigger package for Orcust, but the issue was that I kept bricking on them. Like I was playing Bigger Nightmare, I was playing the Wonder Wand, I don't know what its name is, the big thing, looks like a satellite. I was playing the Trap, but I don't know, I kept on bricking on them, so I made it very minimal instead. Instead, we are just playing the one Orcust symbol, the one harp, and then the Galatea and the Dingirsu. But I'll go over it one by one. But so yeah, very small Orcust engine, just so we can make a Dingirsu, which is really solid. Then we have dangers. So we have one Jackalope and three Tsukinoko. Ideally, you would have two Jackalope, but I don't. So the dangers are just level 3s, which means you can make Break Sword. Alternatively, you could put in a Cherubini in this deck as well, because of all the level 3s you run. But they're darks, and they also discard stuff. So if you get a lot of cards in your hand that are either dead or that you want to have in your graveyard, like a Destrudo or a Fairy Tale Snow, then it can be pretty nice to discard them with your dangers. Then we have Torn Scale. This is also just a really good starter. You can discard useful stuff away or unuseful stuff away. If it's useful in your graveyard, like Destrudo, awesome. You can also discard your dangers, which is really solid, so they start activating, and then you can send away your Cloak, and then Cloak adds you boots, and that's then 2 monsters on field, and then you can just pop off. Again, if you want a Cherubini, it's an option, but since we're not running Graf and Siren here, I didn't feel it was worth it. Then we have an Armageddon Knight. You can send one dark monster from your deck to the graveyard, so you can send your Destrudo, and then that means that you can do one more special summon of a level 3, which is Jackalope or Tsukinoko, and then the Destrudo together with those makes Chaos Ruler. So that's why we play this, and also you can reinforcement of the army to search the Armageddon Knight. Next, we have 3 Wolf. This is kind of controversial because you can brick on this card, but it is really broken when you activate Grass is Greener and you start milling, and then you mill your wolves, and now you get to special summon them. So I really like them for that reason. Also, Solar Recharge, I can get rid of the wolves and the Raiden, so it's not the worst. Though if I had charge of the Light Brigade, that would be much better. I would definitely take out the recharges for charge of the Light Brigade. So the recharges can be kind of bricky. Again, if you have the charges, awesome. But yeah, this is kind of greedy, but I like the greed. Then we have our Wyver Buster and Collapse Serpent. So this is a kind of little package together. If you play Modern Yu-Gi-Oh, you know these cards. And then together with Chaos Space. So this way you can basically always have some special summons, and then also the Chaos Space refunds the cost. Like honestly, the fact that these are still legal in the English game is fucking insane. But yeah, so these two together are always part of Chaos decks. Then we have 2 Raiden. Raiden is our level 4 tuner that very often leads to Chaos Ruler. If you special the Wolf of Grass together with this, you make Chaos Ruler. If you special summon the Mothman with Raiden, again, you have it again. So there's a few ways you can Chaos Ruler thanks to Raiden. And it also mills too. So again, you can get really useful pieces in the graveyard that then leads to more plays. In the worst case, you can also just Raiden plus any of your other special summons to make your Halka Fibrax, to go into Selene, to go into Access Code. Then we have Fairy Tale Snow. This card is absolutely broken, and we have it back in English. So this is a Book of Moon on legs. It endlessly extends and stops your opponent's plays, and she's amazing. She's just incredible. Then we have our Harp Horror. This thing is banned in the English metagame, sadly. So you use this, that, plus any Orcust is enough for Galatea, and then that makes Dingirsu, and Dingirsu is an incredible boss monster. Then we have 3 Mothman. The weakest danger danger in the deck, yes, but because it's a level 4, it goes together very well with Raiden, which is why you want to kind of have charge of the Light Brigade, because that way you have 5 Raidens in your deck. Together with this, you always have the Chaos Ruler. Then we have the Thunder Dragon package, because Colossus is legal in this game. Thunder Dragon, if you draw it, you ditch it, you draw 2, you get 2 more of it, so your hand is bigger, so you can start discarding them for your dangers or other effects. And then because you activated a Thunder Dragon in your hand, that means that if you summon any other Thunder, which is, well, all of the Thunder Dragons and the Chaos Creator, you can tribute that to then make a Colossus. Colossus is incredible, turns off a lot of decks, like just says no, you can't search, and also is almost impossible to get rid of. So then the rest of the Thunder package is the 2 Dark, the 1 Hawk, and the 1 Roar. I'm not sure if I have more of them in here, but this has been working out pretty well. So they all basically like search for each other in different ways, and you can also banish these pretty easily because of your Wyver Buster. So you could like Chaos Space to get rid of the Dark, and then you could special summon Wyver Buster by banishing this, and then that way it triggers and you keep on going. Also, Hawk is really good because this can let you mulligan. So if you are bricking on Solar Recharges or on Wolves or on Thunder Dragons, like if you already used them, now you have 2, you can just send them away, draw a whole new hand. So that has been really good as well. Then the Roar, again, one of the Thunder Dragons. So this entire package, it's only useful if you have Colossus. I mean, that's not really true. Like even in English, if you wanted to make like a Chaos Pile deck, you would use these even if you don't have Colossus. They're in here definitely, right, in this game because of Colossus. They're just super insane. Next we have the Strudo. The Strudo also recently came back in the English metagame, which is mind-blowing. So this card in this deck is just a really easy way to make Chaos Ruler. In the current metagame of the English game, you also make Chaos Ruler with him, but you can also make other things. But in this deck, I don't. I took out Yazi earlier because I just never made him. There's a lot of plays you can definitely do with the Strudo. It's a very versatile card. It costs you half your life points, but that's worth it. It was banned for a while in English for a reason, and I'm very happy it's actually back. Then we have triple Nessie, just more dangers. So Nessie again gets rid of like garbage that you drew, digs you deeper into your deck, also lets you like spam more stuff to link up into these things. One reason, by the way, again, why I'm not doing the more beginner friendly profile that I usually do, like most decks that I've gone over in the past on my channel, I've like clicked open stuff and then explained one by one. This deck is just not beginner friendly whatsoever. You're gonna spend more time reading than playing, so I just wouldn't bother at the beginning. Like I wouldn't make this as a first deck. I've been learning this on stream, this deck. It's been something. You've seen me misplay like crazy. I also have gameplay of this deck on the YouTube channel if you want to see that. So for people who are asking, where's gameplay? It's on the channel. Next we have Chaos Creator. This is another extender that also banishes lights and darks, which is really good because they can trigger all these Thunder Dragons, especially if these are in graveyard because of grass. And then we can like Chaos Space the Creator to our hand if we don't have one of these anymore in deck. So Chaos Space, Creator to hand, and then we can start getting value from those Thunder Dragons. Monster Reborn, just a generic, really good extender. Not necessarily the greatest. Like you might consider if you have like better extenders that are monsters and work in the graveyard, you might want to play that instead. But I've been enjoying this, especially because you can Monster Reborn and get back like a Dingirsu and that way send. Then we have our Foolish Burial. So you can send anything. Very often it will be the Strudo or Snow going second. That might be really good. Depending on the rest of your hand, of course, you could also send some of these Thunder Dragons because you might want to banish them from your graveyard to then trigger their effects. Maybe you have Collapse Serpent, like you might be willing to Foolish Burial the Hawk away to then trigger that and maybe get rid of like your garbage hand. But yeah, Foolish is at one for a good reason. You basically get access to everything in grave. Worst case, you can Foolish a Wolf, and that might be the extender you need, but usually it won't be because we have like unfair stuff that's better. Then we have Reinforcement of the Army. This searches a bunch of stuff, like if you need a Raiden, you have access to it. If you need to Thorn Scale, you have access to it. If you need to Armageddon Knight, you have access to it. Like Rhoda just searches you everything. Then we have Reasoning. Reasoning, I don't know. I've been liking it, but I've also not been liking it. This is really good when you have like a bunch of cards that can't be normal summoned or set, because then this like works like a shitty version of Grass. But because I don't have that many of them either, it hasn't been as impactful as I had hoped. It's good though, because it's just another extender. Sometimes you get lucky and you start getting rid of stuff that you're happy to get rid of. But overall, if I had Unizombie, I would probably play that over this, though I'm sure some people will disagree. It's a solid card regardless. Then we have 3 Allure. Allure is really fun with some of these Thunder Dragons and also just digs you deeper. Maybe you're breaking on something, maybe you want to allure some danger away, hopefully draw something better, or best draw into fucking grass. Card's insane. Then we have Solar Recharge. Again, if I had charge of the Light Brigade, would be way better, but I don't have it. Then we have Grass. This is the only reason this deck exists. Grass is just incredible. So if you have more cards in your deck than your opponent does, send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard so you have the same number. So you play a 60 card deck, your opponent plays a 40 card deck, now you mill like 20. So that way you load up the graveyard with all of these cards that have a bunch of effects in graveyard and you just start comboing off. This card is sadly banned in the TCG. I understand why, but I want it back. It's really degenerate. Next we have Chaos Space. This card is probably going the same way Grass is going, honestly. Chaos Space together with Wyver Buster and Collapse Serpent is basically incredible combos, and then it refunds you the cost. It's really insane. Then we have 2 Called By because we don't like to get hand trapped. On stream today, I have actually been a god and I have opened like Grass plus Called By multiple games. So when people want to like Maxi or Ash me, it's like, nah, we go full combo, baby. So Called By really good to stop hand traps. And other stuff like maybe Eldritch the Golden Lord you want to get rid of or something. Then we have 2 of our Phantom Knights traps. So we have Shade Brigandine, which we can search off boots. So if we're like in a weird situation, we can always have one more extender, and then Fog Blade. Either you're just happy that this is in graveyard because then that lets you special summon one of your Phantom Knights, or you can search it with boots and then it's in negate. Now for the extra, we have Colossus. Like I said, this is just turns off all of the opponent searching. So we play the Thunder Dragon package and Colossus is insane. Please come back to 1. I know a lot of people disagree with that. Then we have Chaos Ruler. This is basically mini Grass. This mills 5 and then adds 1, whereas Grass mills 20. And then it can also revive itself. So you can make like a Dingirsu sometimes with Colossus and Chaos Ruler, though usually I wouldn't do that because Colossus is insane. But yeah, really solid card as well. Ideally, you're able to do Grass and then Chaos Ruler because then you can just bill a billion. Then we have Breaksword. I put that in just now, so I haven't tested it thoroughly just yet. Before that, this was a Yazi, and I just noticed that very often I wanted to be able to play with Breaksword rather than with Yazi. So this you can make with your Dangers and your Phantom Knights, and that way you can break boards, or you can also just, you know, run into stuff to make a Zeus. So for that reason, I'm running it. Downerd for making Zeus have 1 more material. And then we have Dingirsu. Again, Dingirsu is easy to make with our Galatea, and that's why we're running all these Orcust cards. Then we have Zeus, because it blows up boards. We have Almirage, because if you have a shit hand, you can like normal summon something like Cloak, and then turn it into an Almirage, and then Cloak can search you for something else. Or maybe you can like have a Boots, and then Boots turns into Almirage, and then Boots searches you Shade Brigandine, and then you can, you know, you can do some more. Or maybe you get a Fog Blade that way. Then we have Hulk. So the only reason we're running Hulk again is because we can do the Selene access code play, but it hasn't come up that often either just yet. So like if I had better boss monsters for in this deck, I might consider that. Borreload is something most people, like a lot of people run in this, but it hasn't come up for me yet. Might in the future. Then we have Galatea. This is just the easy way to make Dingirsu. Now, if you're not afraid of bricking at all, you could also play the trap, Orcust Crescendo. So that way you get some value out of Galatea, but personally, I kept like bricking on it. And since I always turn my Galatea into a Dingirsu, it didn't go off. Though you can use Dingirsu to get your Galatea back and so forth, but I don't know. Didn't come up for me. Then we have IP. IP is a fun interruption. You can like make a board where your IP can turn into a Nightmare Unicorn and spin some stuff, or your IP can turn into an Appaloosa. It's also cool. Then you have Rusty Bardiche. Because we're playing like a bunch of darks, we can make this, and then this can like send away a Cloak or a Torn Scale, and then you can set a Fog Blade. You get some stuff. Maybe you make a Break Sword even, get another pop. So it has come up, but it's not as impactful as, you know, Colossus, Chaos Ruler, Dingirsu, and Access Code. Those are the things that I like have usually been making. Though again, I'm still playing around with the deck for sure. Then we have Selene. Again, this is together with Hulk to make Access Code, and then we have Appaloosa, which is just, you know, generic negate stuff and Access Code for the OTKs. Can you explain the Orcust engine, like how it works? Okay, so you have Harp Horror. You can banish it from grave, special summon an Orcust from your deck. So if you Grass is greener, the Harp, then you can banish the Harp, special summon the Symbol, and then the Symbol plus any other monster makes Galatea, and then Galatea, you can just overlay Dingirsu on top of her instantly. And Dingirsu is just a really solid boss. And then that means you can then Galatea to shuffle back the thing you banished, this, and then you can, if you have like Dingirsu in your graveyard after that, you can Symbol Skeleton the Dingirsu back to to then send. Yeah, that has come up actually 2 games ago. I hope I can get that gameplay on the channel as well. But yeah, that's the Orcust engine. It's literally just making like the easiest Dingirsu ever. And then if you played like more Orcust, like you have the Babel and World One thing. Like there's a bunch of other Orcust cards, so you have like more of a real Orcust deck, which you can do in this game, but you can't do it in the TCG. Also because Harp Horror is banned there. You could go further, but I've been liking the very lean Orcust engine in this deck. So yeah, that is my current pile. Grass is greener, whatever engine clusterfuck. Again, I'll keep on updating it if I get more cards like my Unizombie, like my Charge of the Library Gate and so forth. I'll keep you updated as well. Hope you found this interesting. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.